In this part of the exercise, we will talk about switches. First, we will create a new class with the name switch. And let us create main method automatically. So when do we use switches? Actually, we use switches for the tasks that are pretty similar to the tasks for if-else statements. And the tasks could be also solved with if-else statements. So let us imagine that we have a task, the following one. Depending on the number from 1 to 7, print out to the console the day of week. 1, for example, if 1, then it is Monday, if 2, then it is Tuesday, and so on. So this task you could solve with if-else statement. For example, if 1, then print to the console Monday, if 2, then print to the console Tuesday, and so on. So this is pretty clear. The same task we can do with switch statement. The switch statement has the following structure. First, we write the word switch. I will take out first commenting. So switch, then we have parentheses, and inside of the parentheses we write our variable that we want to test. Variable to test. Then we open curly braces and we put inside now our statement. So the statement consists of several cases. The first case is 1, then it's Monday, and so on. So first case follows, and after the word after the keyword case, we are writing our value of the variable, the value that the variable can have. So this is value of variable. This value of this variable should be constant in expression. So you can call it also constant expression. And then you have semicolon, and on the new line you are writing your statement. Afterwards, you're writing the keyword break. I will come in a second. Why do we need the word break? And then you can have another case. So actually we can copy the whole statement here, because then this is the same. And afterwards we can have an optional default option. This is optional. And inside we also have statement. So this structure is that we need in order to use our switch statement. We will copy this structure, and this will out comment with control slash. So let's come back to our task. Depending on the number from 1 to 7, print out to the console the day of week. So what we see, that we will have one variable, day of week. This variable will have values from 1 to 7, so we can say that this variable will be of integer data type, and the name of this variable is day of weeks. Here we have declared our variable, so in order to use our code as an example to run afterwards, we will assign a value, let us say 5. So next, using our switch code, we see that we have here a variable to test. This is the name of our variable, and this is days day of week. Value of variable or constant expression. These are the values that our variable can have. And for example, 1 is Monday, so the first value can be 1, number 1. The statement that we write here is we are printing out to the console the day of week. So we are writing system out print line Monday. And now we are actually doing the same for all our days. So I will just copy this and we'll just fill it out for all days. Case 2, it's Tuesday. Case 3, it's Wednesday. Case 4, we have Thursday. Case 5, Friday. Six, Saturday. And the last one, number 7, Sunday. And we have optional statement for default. So for example, let us imagine that someone gives these numbers to you, and maybe this person just told you 8. So in this case, you want to print out some kind of error message because the number is incorrect. In this way, we're using default statement with message error. So for default, you don't need any numbers because this will be the case for all other cases. So if it is something from 1 to 7, then it is already here inside. If it is something else, then the default statement will apply. So once again, let's go through the code. We have first our variable. We can use only one single variable for switch statement. In our case, it is days of weeks. And we have 8 totally cases. If this variable has value of 1, that is here, if the value that here is assigned is 1, then this statement here will be executed. If it is 2, then this statement here will be executed, and so on. So let us execute our code now. Somewhere I have an error, but it's not here, not in this code. So here we see that our days of week 5 and correspondingly Friday was printed out to the console. Why do we need here break? The break tells our code that after executing of one line, the code can be, the Java can get out of this switch block of the code. So if we take out, for example, breaks here, it is still legal. And we have, for example, here number 1, and we will execute the code. Then we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday printed out. Why did it happen? It did happen because when you're using switch statements, first, what Java does, it looks for the case that applies, like that is true. For example, if we had here 2, let us maybe make this example. we are executing the code from the top. So case 1, do we have 1 here? No, we don't, we have 2, so we are going to the next code. Case 2, yes, this is true, so this will be executed, and then in the switch statement, everything that follows will be executed automatically, everything else. So if we don't have break statements here, so all codes also for other cases will be executed. If we don't want this then we have to put break statements here. I will just bring everything back. So now we have our code. Let us get to another task for switch. We are creating another class that is called switch2 with main method. We have the same variable, our day of week, that is now still 5. And the task that we have is, depending on the number, print out to the console the day of week, weekday, Saturday and Sunday. So we have here only 3 options that we need to print. Is it a weekday? So if the number is from 1 to 5, then we need to print out weekday to the console. If the number is 6, then it's Saturday, and if it is 7, then it is Sunday. So if we want we can do this task actually in 2 options. So the first option is the following. We are writing our switch, and day of week is the variable. That value we will check. And then next, the first what we will write default statement. And default is to print system out print line weekday. And now everything that comes to every value that comes here to our day of week variable will be taken first, as default, and weekday will be printed. We put our break statement. Then we have case 6 that we are specifying. And case 7. And let us put also our break statements here. And actually at the end we don't need any break statement, because this is the end of the code. We have here Saturday, and in this case we have Sunday. So if we have number 6, we receive Saturday. If we have number 7, we receive Sunday. And everything else from 1 to 5 and so on will be weekday. This is pretty quick option to write this code to solve this task. And this is because we don't have any additional tasks for handling some error values, some incorrect values for day of week. But if we would like to add additional part of code to this task, so if the number is too high, for example, greater than 7, print an error to the console, then we cannot solve this task with this code anymore, because our default statement is already used here. In this case, we can do the following. We will create a new class I will copy our task again. Okay, so what do we have here? We have here actually the same task as it was at the beginning, the very first one here, from 1 to 7, but we don't need this from 1 to 5 cases. Well, we do need them, but we have only one statement that applies. So in order to save some time, I will just copy this part of code here. And I will put it here. So in case of 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, we have the same statement. And then in this case, we are allowed to write in the following manner. Case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have a single system out print line with the word weekday for all of these 5 cases. Default is still optional, but with this default statement, we can handle this part of the task. So now we are done with our switch statements and with if-else statements too. You see that the tasks that we solved for if-else statements and for case statements, they're pretty similar. So sometimes you can solve the same task with both of them. However, you need to distinguish when it is better to use if-else statement and when it is better to use switch statement. So in case if you have only one variable that you are going to make your code about, like in our case here was weekday, then you can use switch statement and if-else statement too. Maybe for switch statement it would be better for code readability. If you have multiple variables, then you cannot handle them anymore only with one switch statement, and that's why your option will be already if-else statement. The next if is the values that your variable can accept. So for example, if you know that the variable that you have here will have some continuous values, that is like some time series, in this case if-else statement may be better. If you know that your variable is categorical and it can have only some finite number of cases, like weeks of days, only 7 cases, or maybe types of credit, there are commercial, residential, and so on, and you know those types that there will be only several ones, then switch statement is better.